Hello, people. Sorry about the avatar, but I'm not exactly presentable at the moment. My hair's all messed up and I'm in my night clothes, so I'd rather not present myself in that fashion. But I wanted to do this video anyway. Um, a few days ago, I was on YouTube watching videos as I usually do. Cinemassacre, Cinema Sins, Channel Awesome with the Nostalgia Critic and stuff like that. And of course, I came across some more political stuff. And one of the comments I saw pointed to a op-ed by, or I should say, it commented about an op-ed by Ben Carson. Well, I decided to look into the op-ed myself and see what it was, and I found it on USA Today. In this op-ed, Ben Carson discusses everything from education to housing to safety to the entertainment industry to working with Republicans, talking with Democrats. You know, he addresses a lot of issues. And while the op ed itself is short and the stuff he addresses is only minimally addressed, the point is he's actually talking about a bunch of different topics. But the whole thing that got the op ed started, of course, was the Black Lives Matter movement. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, how did this movement get him started on all that? Well, here's how. Ben Carson believes that the Black Lives Matter movement and the protests they've been doing at the Bernie Sanders speeches and stuff is kind of, well, to put it plainly, stupid. Because he says that they're focusing on easy and convenient political targets instead of actually going after real culprits, instead of actually going after people who are really doing the things they're protesting against. And I gotta say, I actually agree with him. He's not wrong. But as far as the Black Lives Matter movement goes, I find it funny myself because here you have a guy that his record on civil rights is always touted. You know, he's gone to jail numerous times for his beliefs and the civil rights movement and stuff like that. And he's probably a very strong potential ally for the Black Lives Matter movement. And here these people are biting him and biting him hard. And you have to understand, Bernie Sanders is a socialist liberal, and it is liberalism, progressive liberalism in particular, that created the mindset that the Black Lives Matter movement fosters. And so it's kind of ironic to me that these people are basically turning around and biting the hand of those who are trying to help them. You know, they're turning on their allies. The liberal snake is biting the head of the liberal snake, if you know what I mean. They're pretty much biting themselves. Now the reason I bring this up is because this op-ed that Ben Carson is talking about, he's talking about the uselessness of the Black Lives Matter movement doing these protests at Bernie Sanders' speeches. Because, for one, Bernie Sanders can't do anything about police brutality. He can't do anything about it because he's not in office. How does the man do anything about it if he's not in office, and if you're constantly interrupting him and stuff, he might not ever get in there in the first place. Secondly, he points out, and I think rightfully so, that all their attacks on Bernie Sanders are doing is creating it's creating this atmosphere of political attacks that seems like they're being directed more out of political convenience than actually trying to accomplish anything, which is what he means, I'm assuming. I'm actually going to just guess here that that's what he means when he says that they're going after politically convenient targets instead of actual culprits. Now, after reading this article, I decided that I would look online and see how more liberal oriented blogs and news sites and stuff like that are reporting on what Carson actually said. Now, I generally do this with a lot of the things I get when uh, when I'm looking up information about things and stuff like that. I'm generally the one who will go and look for the sources for whatever the claims are and read those myself in order to form my own opinions. And so, as I looked through these different sites and stuff, I came across Think Progress. Now, Think Progress is probably anybody with half a brain knows is a very left-leaning progressive site with an ideology to match. But their interpretation of what Ben Carson was talking about was amazing, at least to me anyway. And here's why. The Ben Carson Op-Ed is discussing a whole bunch of different things, and in fact, I'm going to show you here in a minute what some of those things are. You can find the op-eds yourself if you want. I mean, they're not hard to come by. You can see it pretty much anywhere at USA Today. In fact, I'm probably going to include links to both of these articles so you can read them for yourself and see just how screwed up it is that they misrepresent the man the way they did. But what Ben Carson essentially is saying is the Black Lives Matter people, instead of marching on Bernie Sanders, they need to be marching on the Board of Education. They need to be marching on the entertainment industry. They need to be marching on City Hall. They need to be marching on Washington. They need to be marching on those crack houses in their neighborhoods where they've let abandoned buildings become like crack dens and stuff. They need to talk about the war on poverty, which we've already lost like 20 years ago. Need to talk with Democrats and need to talk with Republicans, and he's actually addressing the fact that they're wasting their time going after Bernie Sanders. But the article, as you can see here, doesn't portray that as what Ben Carson said. They say Ben Carson blames Hollywood, not police, for troubles in black urban communities. And this is by Kira Lerner and Laurel Raymond, as you can see, and it was August 25th, 2015. Now, the problem with this is that's not what he said. He said that the entertainment industry, which includes Hollywood, the music industry, television, contributes to the perceived issues contributes to the issues of the perceived stereotypes of black people. That's what he's talking about. Because here, I'll go back. I'll show you what he said about the entertainment industry. He says, as you can read here, let's confront the entertainment industry that lines its pockets by glamorizing a life where black men are thugs and our women are trash. Let's tell them we plan to start talking with our wallets. It is time for them to pick on someone else because we have had enough. Demeaning women is not art, and it shouldn't be profitable. Neither is glorifying violence and equating prison time with authenticity. Straight Outta Compton, number one in movie theaters, is just the latest example. You only have to watch the trailers. Now, this comment right here, this Straight Outta Compton comment, this two little sentences right here at the very end of this, as you can see it, like right here. This is what Kira and Laurel, those are their names, right? Kira and Laurel? Yeah. This is what Kira and Laurel latched on to. Out of all the other things he talked about with education, the war on poverty, this is the only thing they latched on to. And the reason they latched onto it was because of an earlier comment where he was talking about police brutality and how protesting at Bernie Sanders' meetings for police brutality against black people is about as useful as protesting racism at a KKK meeting. It just ain't going to have no effect. And to actually think it will is stupid. But this article is completely oblivious to the fact that it's making some rather idiotic comparisons, and I'll show you why here in a minute. But it apparently took exception with him using Straight Outta Compton as a comparison of how Hollywood is using these bad stereotypes to get rich. And of course, they apparently are members of the Black Lives Matter movement because they themselves actually say things like we and us during the little article thing. Now, what they go on to do is they decide to tell everybody how Ben Carson thinks the police aren't a problem. He thinks Hollywood's the problem. And then they go on to talk about how, there's scenes in the Straight Outta Compton movie that display scenes of police brutality and stuff like that. But see, the thing is, and this is what got me amused with this, is the movie Straight Outta Compton isn't a documentary. It's not a behind the music kind of thing. It's not written as a it's not actually written as a sort of history of the group. It's taking their life based off of their experiences, or what they say their experiences are, and creating a dramatic movie about it. So a lot of the scenes in it, including the police brutality scenes, are probably going to be very dramatically done. They're going to take dramatic license with it, of course. I mean, they did the same thing with American Sniper. So it's to be expected that anytime Hollywood does a movie like this, it's going to have that kind of thing to it. But of course, these two idiots didn't see it that way. They saw it as if it was a documentary about police brutality. So anyway, as I said, these two idiots are dumber than hell, in my opinion. They completely missed his point entirely, which I'm not even surprised by, to be honest with you. But just how far off they were is astounding. And how they went so far out of their way to use the NWA Straight Outta Compton movie to push the police are killing everybody agenda. It's truly an amazing reach, and that I'm actually surprised they were able to pull off without, seemingly coming off as incoherent lunatics. But now I'm starting to digress, and I'm pretty much, I think I've covered this thing. But anyway, like I said, I'll leave a link in the descriptions for this video, and you can look at these two articles yourself. And I'm also going to leave a link to a blog posting I did on my blog um, that actually goes more into detail on this. So if you feel like checking it out, check it out. Leave your thoughts, after you've read the articles, or if you've already read them, just leave some comments and tell me what you think, because I'd be interested in hearing other people's views on these things. All right.